Ituri Forest. The Little Ituri Forest is home to many different species of animals. Now, one thing that they do all have in common out here is going to be their ability to camouflage. Looks like out here on the left, we're going to see some greater kudu. Greater kudu are actually one of the largest species of antelope in the entire world. They're going to reach heights of about 5 feet tall from their shoulders to the ground. And out here on the right, we're going to see some okapi. Now the okapi, it was actually known as the unicorn of the forest because they weren't discovered until 1901. Before that time, they were believed to be a myth. And even though the okapi does have those beautiful zebra-striped legs, they're actually not related to the zebra at all. They're actually the only living relative of the giraffe. We can tell that because of their skull shape. They have the same skull structure. They also have a prehensile tongue like a giraffe does. That means that their tongue is going to work like our pointer fingers do in order to pull food into their mouths. It's going to help them to eat a lot easier from bushes and low-lying trees. And let's see what else we can find out here. Out here on the, it looks like either side, we're gonna see some bongos. Bongos, they are known as the ghosts of the forest. Because they're shy, they're also really good at hiding. Now all bongos, whether males or females, are gonna have horns on the top of their head. Those horns are gonna help them to move swiftly through the underbrush so they can avoid predators and also find food just a little bit faster. Now it does look like this one right out here is going to be a baby bongo because those horns are just starting to come out. Now also, if you do notice the way that the bongo walks, they have a very tiptoe-like motion. It's going to help them to move swiftly and silently through forest areas, which does add to their ghostly appearance. So now we're going to head on out of Little Ituri. We're going to go into the Safi River. Now, the Safi River is home to one of Africa's largest and most dangerous animals, and this just so happens to be the Nile hippopotamus. Hippos, when they're born, they're gonna weigh a whopping 85 pounds. By the time they do reach adulthood, though, the hippo's gonna weigh over 5,500 pounds. We're gonna see if we can find any hippos out here. Usually when you do find a hippo, you're gonna find a lot of them. Hippos, they do like to live in groups. A group of hippos is called a bloat. A B-L-O-A-T. A bloat. It looks like there's actually gonna be a bloat out here on the left. Now, hippos, they are a nocturnal species. That means that they are going to be sleeping during the daytime. They're going to be more awake at night. They're actually going to use the nighttime to come up on land and graze, and each hippo is going to eat around 80 to 90 pounds of vegetation every single night. Up there as well, we are going to see the pink-backed pelicans. They do get their name because the lovely pink that their back turns during mating season. They actually do decide their own mating season. So when they're ready, we'll know. Alright guys, so for your safety, please remain seated at all times. Again, for your safety, sentado por favor. Please stay seated. It's for your safety. We are going to head over some real live Nile crocodiles. So again, guys, for your safety, please remain in those seats. Now, crocodiles, they are going to feed primarily on fish. It's going to be mainly what they're going to find out in river systems. But they are going to eat anything, and I mean anything that does unfortunately cross in their path. Zebra, wildebeest, and yes, even humans. So let's get on out of here before we give them the opportunity. Pretty much if it has a pulse, or if it had a pulse at one point, the Nile crocodile is going to eat it. They're not very picky. But don't worry guys, we're going to head on out of there. We're going to go into a much more famous area of Africa. This is called the Savannah, also known as the Serengeti Plains. Now, this area is known, surprisingly, for being very dry, although it does seem to be kind of sprinkling out here with a little bit of rain. but it's also home to some of the world's most famous animals, such as giraffes, elephants, even lions. It does look like already we're going to see a Patterson's eland out there. It's going to be that beige colored antelope with those straight up horns. Oh, there's two of them. Eland are actually the largest species of antelope in the entire world. They are going to reach heights of about 6 feet tall from their shoulders to the ground. But also out here as well, we are going to see some of the smallest antelopes in Africa. These are the springbok. Now in English, their name does translate to jumping buck, because those little guys can jump up to heights of about 6 feet straight in the air. They can also leap distances of 13 feet. Now those guys, they're gonna weigh at most about 100 pounds, and as you can probably guess, it's gonna be mostly muscle. And we get to see this big guy, this big Patterson's eland out here as well. So this does look like a pretty perfect place to find some predators. Oh, I think I see something in the rock cave. Underneath the rocks out there, we are going to see a spotted hyena. Hyenas actually have the strongest jaws out of any mammal species. And it's going to be about half the pressure of a Nile crocodile's jaw, which is pretty intense. It also looks like there's going to be another one too if you look behind that rock. And up here as well, we are going to see those animals with those giant horns. Those are the Ankole cattle, also known as the Watusi cattle by the Watusi tribe who did domesticate them out in Africa. And those horns on their heads, they're gonna reach about 3 to 4 feet long in length and about 10 inches around the base. But they're not as heavy as they look. On the inside is going to be a honeycomb-like structure with some blood vessels and blood running throughout. So those horns, instead of using them for self-defense, they're actually going to use those horns to regulate their body temperature, which is kind of weird. But out here, it's normally very, very, very hot. So it does help a lot to have that blood regulated. That does look like we are going to see some giraffes out here. Looks like there's a parade of them coming down. Now, yeah, usually where there's one giraffe, there's going to be a lot of giraffes. Giraffes, they do like to live in groups. A group of giraffes is called a herd. It's also called a tower. A tower of giraffes. So giraffes are the tallest land mammal in the entire world. They are going to reach heights of about 20 feet tall from their head to their hooves. So giraffes, they are pretty much always tall from the moment they're born. Actually, when they're born, they're going to reach about 6 feet tall, and they are going to have a 6-foot drop straight to the ground, because mama's going to be standing up when she gives birth. Now, it does help to break the umbilical cord, though, as terrible as it sounds. And that does give the giraffe a taste of the real world. But by the time that newborn giraffe is about 15 minutes old, they're going to be able to stand up and start learning how to walk. By the time that giraffe is about an hour old, they're going to be able to run with the rest of the herd. Or tower, as they're also known. A group of giraffes can also be known as a tower. And out here to the right, we are going to see some white-bearded wildebeest, also known as gnu, G-N-U, because of the very grunty sound that they make. And it does happen to sound a lot like the word new, hence the name. Now, wildebeest, translated from Swahili into English, does mean wild beast. Very creative there. Also looks like there's a wild African bunny down there. Oh, and it looks like there's going to be another giraffe out here.
Look how close the giraffe is to you. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Keep your hand.
They're very curious. Alright guys, so now we're going to head into a different area of the savannah. This is called elephant country, and I bet you can see why. It looks like we are going to see an elephant. Now this is an African elephant, also known as an African bush elephant. We can tell that because of those gigantic ears. African elephants actually do have the largest ears out of any elephant species. Now those ears do more than just help them to hear. When it does get really hot outside, they're going to flap those ears. That's going to send cool blood running through their head and through their bodies. So that's going to help to actually regulate their body temperature, which is pretty nice. So now let's see if we can go find some more elephants. We do have to go over a very interesting bridge. So we'll see how this goes. It's the only tilting bridge. Now, if another bridge does tilt later on, that's going to be a problem. But we are going to head on in. We're going to find some more elephants out here, hopefully. Fingers crossed. This does look like a pretty good sign. There are some tusk marks in that clay out here on the right, and it looks like there's going to be some elephant footprints out here on the left. All we're missing is an elephant. Oh, I do see a couple back there.
Oh, I see a red one. It's a red elephant. Look, you see it? Mom,